last speaker for the competition, and the final speaker of our national final, Speaker.Jacob, second speaker for the second competition. I'd like to welcome Jacob Barnes to take care.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As second speaker for the second opposition, consisting of myself and Finn Tongarney, what I would like to do is cover the points of clash in today's debate. And when I say points of clash, I don't mean talk about the 1980s rock band, ladies and gentlemen. I talk about the points of contention that have come up in this debate, which I see as international opinion versus undermining democracy, doing what is morally right versus practical thinking, and being morally correct versus fighting a losing battle. Firstly, international opinion versus undermining democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States is a democracy with its government for the people, by the people, with the leaders who have enacted these laws elected by the people. And you may be saying, we already know that. You're stating the obvious. But, ladies and gentlemen, they have the right to the death penalty, and it is a decision reached by democratic means. When a country refuses to extradite a criminal who has committed a crime on U.S. territory against the United States, against the United States, when we fail to extradite them because of their stance, you are undermining democracy. This is grossly unfair and hypocritical, as the EU are also democracies and are simply undermining their own values.
There are many other countries in the world which have supposedly democratically voting process as well. But just because it's voted by the majority of people doesn't mean that we should go along with this.
But that's very hypocritical of you, because we're living in a country with its government elected for the people, by the people. And as I was about to say, I'm pretty sure the citizens of those democracies would not exactly like it too much if another country or another union were to come in and infringe upon their democratically elected laws. Furthermore, it shows a lack of respect for democracy, which may potentially spark feuds domestically and internationally, because it shows their citizens that they do not play by the rules. By refusing to extradite the citizens who decided on their own laws, they are effectively engaging in international bullying.
Sure. By the definition of saying it's America's own choice, you should then, by that logic, allow the execution of people for apostasy in Iran, which is a crime worse than murder under Islamic law, because it's their right to choose that law.
I do actually condone that right. I feel that rights are simply made up by societal values, and if a society values certain things, they can determine that's a right and that's their own choice. No thank you, Connor. Now on to my second point of clash. Doing what's morally right versus practical thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, we obviously can't allow these people to roam the streets. So, believe it or not, jails become full. While we would all like to think that doing what's right paramounts all and triumphs, we have to think with our head. If the United States doesn't choose to extradite these people, what will happen? These people just sit in jail, using up that country's resources, money, and frankly, just their time. No thank you. This inevitably leads to overcrowding, disabling countries to use their own system. This is comparable to a dog pound. Well, we would all love to say, and we all love to hope that all the animals can live. We unfortunately cannot do that, as it just can't be possible. We must think with our hearts, ladies and gentlemen. We must think with our heads, ladies and gentlemen, not with our hearts. No, thank you. Now on to our last one in clash, being morally correct versus fighting a losing battle. As correctly mentioned by you, other than my stubbornness, people have been campaigning against the death penalty for years, and they've done nothing, because nothing has happened, and the death penalty still stands. I ask you, proposition, what makes this time any different? As I'm sure we all know, the United States isn't any stranger to embarrassment, with a former leader telling us that there's no French word for entrepreneur, and asking us, is our children learning? What are we to think that this will actually be any different? What makes you think that European power will simply trump all and make the U.S. go, okay, sorry, we were wrong? It's simply unrealistic, ladies and gentlemen. To conclude, I brought you 3 points of clash, those being international opinion versus undermining democracy, doing what's right versus practical thinking, and lastly, being morally correct versus fighting a losing battle. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I beg you to oppose.
Congratulations, Jacob. Well, that concludes our 8 speakers. And I have to say to Connor, Sean, Rory, Hugh, Chris, Jonathan, Ross, and Jacob, I'm glad I'm one of the chairman. I think I'll duplicate it on the terrible one. Catherine, you look like you're about to take away those 5 adjudicators.